Hello and welcome to the Cataclysm. We are going to do a new player start at the Evac shelter. And first we have to set up the world. And these are just some personal settings that I use. You can use whatever settings you like. It won't make a whole lot of difference. The settings I use are more for mid to late games. Just basically to make the character a little bit stronger. I like to use a 12-2 city setup. It just makes life a little bit easier not to have to run so far between cities, especially now that there's portal storms. I think we'll just leave most of these settings as they are. Alright, so let's just call this new player. Alright, so now we need to create a character. Takes a little bit to load. So we're going to go with the default Evac center character, except for we're going to give it a little bit of help with the background. We're going to take parkour and self-defense. Now I'll explain more in detail what those do later, but parkour basically means you don't have to pay a penalty for going over a little bit of rough terrain like hedges or fences, stuff like that. And then self-defense allows you to take it allows you to have some melee skill at the beginning of the game, which is, I think, important, and also allows you to take a style, which is also equally important, especially if you're doing a lot of early game combat. And we're not going to worry too much about traits because I took the mods that allow you to boost your trait, your stats. I mean, not traits, your stats later in the game. And then I usually just take some typically good character traits like fleet-footed, night vision, indefatigable, quick, deft, fast reflexes, that kind of thing. But we also are going to take some negatives, but usually negatives won't really hurt you too badly unless you take something like imperceptive healer, which means you only heal like 10% of the normal healing, which is really slow. In which case, you probably want to build a character that's not going to be taking a lot of damage very often, or not going to be doing a lot of fighting. Night vision is extremely important because if you can't see very far at night, then you're going to be right up on the zombie before the safe mode kicks in, and then you're going to be in for a very bad time if you wander into a crowd of zombies. Yeah, so we'll just take some typical negative traits that won't really harm the character too much. And then the right side, the right column, or the far right column is just cosmetic, like your eye color, your hair, your beard style, and your hair color and style. So I usually take 12 positive traits, 12 points of negative traits. It's just usually the way things are done in a multi-pool setup. You can, of course, do, if you want to make a really super badass character, you can go freeform and make whatever kind of character you want. And I usually like to just go through and review all of the things I picked, make sure that I picked what I intended to pick for that character build. You usually just give it a simple name. I think in this case, I just gave it the name Evac Shelter Guy or something like that. And then we actually do want to not choose a random location, because if you choose a random location, you could get a looted Evac Shelter, which is a much more advanced start than a regular Evac Shelter. And usually we'll start with the NPC. Some people don't like to talk to NPCs at all, and other people focus mainly on doing NPC missions. So it's really up to you. Initially, I like to find out some information about the world. So to me, it's a good idea to do some NPC missions early, so you have kind of an idea of the world layout. And that's the ASCII map overview. Eventually later I'll switch over to the graphical map overview so you can take a look at that. And here I'm getting the location of the refugee center. Yeah, so here we can change it to graphical options, or to a graphical overmap. Some people prefer this, some people prefer the ASCII map because they can just look at it at a glance and tell what's what without having to go over it. But I think in some ways the graphical map looks better, and you can zoom it in and out, which is nice. But yeah, we're a long way from the refugee center. I think if we were going to go there, we'd probably want to get a vehicle first. But enough of that. First, let's make some stuff at the evac shelter. We're going to tear down the curtain, of course. Grab the stick. And then go beat up a shelf so we can grab a pipe. Or have a pipe. And we'll take that stuff over by the counter. Probably. Yeah, it's usually a good idea to find out what's what in your world. Next, we're going to go find a rock. If you press Shift V, that will bring up this menu, which tells you what items are where in your immediate surroundings, which is handy because then you don't have to go searching all over the place for your rock. Alright, so we'll go grab that. And now we want to make a crowbar, or a makeshift crowbar. Find it in the menu, somewhere here. Okay, so now we have a makeshift crowbar. So now what we want to do is get up to the roof. So we'll have to bash this door down. Alright, so then you'll use another bash here to grab some steel. And with this we'll be able to make the hammer and the screwdriver. First we have to disassemble a long string into a short string, or 6 short strings I believe. Yeah, and with that we'll be able to make the hammer. And then we can make a screwdriver. Now we can disassemble the shelf over here using the construction menu. Usually that's the star key. And now we can make a brazier that you could put a fire in if you want to. And you can use the backslash key to carry items along the ground, that way you don't have to have them in your inventory, which is handy. And then you would activate the brazier to place it. And then once it's placed, you can move it around. By pressing Shift G and then the arrow key towards the brazier. Alright, so now we're going to disassemble this tank up here, and that's going to give us some empty tanks. We only need the one, so what we'll do is we'll open the advanced inventory using the / key, and then we'll just move one tank over to the left. Okay, so here we can take the water out of the toilets and fill up the tank, and we can also grab these first aid kits that are here to our right. They'll come in handy later because we'll need the bandages. Okay, so now I think we're probably just going to need a little bit of wood to make some clean water with. First, let's grab some sticks. This will be useful for crafting a little bit later. Now, as you notice, we don't have quite the skill that we need for all the stuff we want to do yet, but we will eventually get enough skill to make all the things that we need to survive the first day. And another thing you can do is you can designate a fire source spot using the construction menu, which is nice, as that way the character will automatically throw things from the fire source into the brazier. So now we should be able to make clean water if the fire lasts long enough. We'll just throw that in the plastic bottles. Nope, we need a little bit more wood. So now I think we're just going to do enough crafting to be able to get our skill up enough to make a quarterstaff. I think that's what we're going to focus on. And then the crafting menu, if you notice, there's like a filtering system, and you can figure out what you need to make to get the skill that you want to get. And as long as you have the materials and enough base skill, you shouldn't have any problem at all. Okay, so now we have our quarterstaff, which is a ninjutsu weapon, which is kind of important to our character. Yeah, you can pull up, like, I think it's the dash key, and that sets your style, and then if you press F1, that brings up the menu and shows you what weapons you can use with it. Styles are very handy to have because special abilities kick in when you're using a style. Adds a whole lot of survivability to the character. Here I'm just unloading stuff so that if I want to fight, if you're gonna fight, you don't want to be overburdened or have a lot on you. Take off as much as you can so that you get your encumbrance down to a level where it doesn't affect your ability to win a fight. Alright, so now our encumbrance is fine. Now we just need to find our weapon again. Yeah, and I like to read this first aid book if I haven't taken wound care or some way to patch myself up after a fight. And it's just reading until it gets dark. And then we can go stand by this console and read. It won't be as fast, but it'll still get the job done. Alright, so we finished reading the first aid book. So now we should have wound care 1. We can also turn on the cell phone to get a little bit of light if we want, but that also makes us visible to all the monsters, so you probably don't want to walk around with that on. Okay, so now we should be able to go bash some heads. Let's go ahead and take this out. Alright. So now we could take this corpse back to the shelter and butcher it and then cook it if we wanted to. I think you do butchering by pressing Shift B. I guess we won't worry about that for now. Yeah, I think we already have some bandages from the first aid kits we had, so we should be able to just bandage ourselves up, no problem. Alright, now we should be able to head to town once we figure out what we're doing. Yeah, and town's not very far away because we made the city spacing smaller than normal, which is important whenever there's things like portal storms, that where if you get caught out in the portal storm, really bad things happen. So you don't want that to happen, especially not early in the game. So yeah, so we'll just go to town and start looting. And I do like to have auto notes on whenever I'm running around. That way it'll automatically mark things like staircases or anything notable on the map that I might want to look at later. I usually like to check out any cars I come across to see if they're drivable. In this case, it doesn't have wheels. And I think the motor's shot too. I was marking the vehicle so I know where it is. Here's another one. I don't think it's drivable either. No, it's a wreckage. So yeah, might have a few good parts on it. Okay, so we're near the closest house. somebody in here. So I think what we want to do is make sure that we're not encumbered before we get in any fights. So we'll drop anything that's causing any kind of encumbrance. Okay. Now when I'm fighting a zombie, if they grab me, you want to try to break that grab. And there's going to be another zombie here. Yeah, tough zombie. He just has a few more hit points, and he moves, I think he moves a little bit faster than a normal zombie. And as you can see, I'm maneuvering backwards as he moves forward, so that he has to move whenever I attack. So that way, I'm not just like, we're not just like standing there pounding each other. So yeah, so now it should just be a matter of looting the house, figuring out what good it's going to do us. Yep, always a good idea to check the bathrooms. Usually you'll at least find some aspirin, sometimes you'll find antibiotics. Occasionally you'll find painkillers, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's always a good practice to do that. Yeah, this house actually might be a good place to spend the night. Usually zombies won't come upstairs for whatever reason. I guess maybe their pathing doesn't encourage them to go upstairs. They will sometimes go downstairs. So like if you're in a basement, they will sometimes come and harass you in a basement. Or if you're on a level on the first floor, you definitely would get harassed. Because zombies wander around at night, or during the day too sometimes. Yeah, we're just going to grab our containers here so we can pick up a few more items of loot. There's a lot of good stuff in this house. You wouldn't believe how much stuff is in the houses in Cataclysm. You would think that a lot of it would already be looted, but there's like lots of stuff, lots of food, lots of gear, books, medicine. Of course, the really good stuff is going to be in the downtown areas of cities that are harder to get to. But if you're a new player, you don't really have to worry about, like being a super zombie killer or whatever. You just try to survive. Yep, it's a good idea to eat. Good idea to make sure all your wounds are bandaged. Good idea to drop anything that you're not going to need, because otherwise it's just taking up space in your packs. You'll eventually learn more as you go along. Anything that can be used to make stuff is also helpful, especially if it's a material you know that's going to be useful, like thread or duct tape. Anything like that, it's going to help you survive. Now, some books will only be good for improving your mood, and other books would be good for training skill. And you'll learn the difference pretty quick. Usually the ones that have a number by them, that's how many chapters are in the book that you can get pleasure from reading it. The other ones that don't have numbers by them are usually skill books, and usually you gain a level or two from a skill book, and then you need a new book to gain more levels. So it's been a pretty good while. We made it through pretty much the first day. I think what we might do is just like settle in, maybe do a little reading. Make sure we're all patched up, that kind of thing, and then get some sleep. And it's usually a good idea to sleep in an upstairs bedroom with the door closed and all the windows closed, curtains closed. Now if you get to the full state, you can like wait a few minutes and then it'll allow you to eat again. That way you can get calories put on. You don't want to get too low on calories. And there's like a crazy amount of food in the houses, so you don't really have to worry about farming or hunting or fishing or any of that stuff. Not unless you want to. Yep, so here we're just going to get some sleep, I think. And that's probably going to do it for this guide. So I really hope it's helpful to people that are new to Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead, and that you have fun, you explore, you survive. Thanks for watching.